Hey, in this video, I want to show you guys how to make a pause screen for your Phaser.io video games. You're watching a video from the Code Lab Studios, where we're doing some programming in nearly all the scenarios. Make sure you subscribe to Code Labs for more content. Now let's go. As usual, when it comes to programming, things can be done in a couple different ways. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to do this in two different ways. One would be freezing the things inside the update area, and two would be making additional scenes. Before I get started, here's two different scenarios where you might choose one over the other. The first option, maybe you want to put like a timer where it counts down and says game over. Or the second option, you might just want to stop the game altogether. With that being said, let's get started with option 1. When you're done with this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thanks. So what I'm going to do is add 5 different images into my preload section. So the first image I'm going to add is going to be the background. In this video, we're going to use the background as the indicator for the screen being paused or not. So we're going to do this dot load dot image and then open close and then the stream background and comma bg.png. For the next thing, let's do this dot load dot image and do pause bg and then the comma pause bg.png. So the pause bg is going to be the background for the pause screen. The next thing we want to do is make like an overlay picture for the pause screen as well, because sometimes you have like an image that doesn't take the whole screen but just a good chunk of it. So let's do this dot load dot image and then I'm going to put pause overlay and then pause overlay.png. And the last two things we need to do is make a pause button and a resume button. So I'm going to copy some of this, I'm going to paste that, change the words, so let's put pause btn comma pause btn.png and then resume btn and then resume btn.png. So now we got all 5 things to make this pause screen. Next, I need you guys to go down to the create area. I want you to make 2 quick variables. Let's do number equals 1. Then game is paused equals false. That way we can tell if the game is paused or not. Now let's hit enter and then let's make the variable bg. So we do bg equals this dot add dot tile then capital sprite. And then for the first parameters, we got to put the actual x and y coordinates. So we do 0, 0, and then the actual length and width of the actual sprite itself. So 800, then 600, and then what we called it up above, so BG. Now we actually have to do dot set origin on the back of that, because if we don't, what they're going to consider the origin of the picture is the actual center of the picture, and we want it to count as the edge on the left hand side. So to do that, you type dot set origin and then the number 0 in the center. So for this next 2 lines, we're going to actually copy this and reuse it right below it. So let's do pause btn equals this dot add dot sprite, and for its x position let's put 600, and then for the y let's put 25, and then for the string let's put pause btn and then dot set origin 0 on the end of that. Then hit enter. Then you type pause btn dot set interact. What that does is allow the object to have touch events. So what I need you guys to do now is highlight that last line plus pause btn, copy it, then go to the next line, hit enter, and then paste it in. So this time, instead of it saying pause btn, let's change all that to say resume btn. So resume btn. There we go. So at this point, if you actually load your game up, you will notice that you have your pause button and your resume button overlapping each other. So the next thing we need to do is do resume btn.depth equals 2. What this is going to do is put the actual resume button on top of everything else. This is similar to how the CSS and JavaScript has the Z index, but Phaser.io's version. So let's type resume.depth equals and then the number 2. So instead of typing out pause BG, let's go ahead and copy the word where it says resume BG and paste it below. And then I'm going to need you guys to copy that one last time for the pause overlay. So for the first one that we copy, let's go ahead and change it from resume btn to pause bg. And then where the x and y coordinates is, where it says 600, 25, we need to change that similar to the bg above. So we need to put the X is 0, and then the Y is 0. And then let's go down to the next line where it says resume BTN. Let's change the actual resume BTN words to pause overlay. So PAUSE and then the word overlay. So for the position of this, let's do 100 for the X, and then let's do 200 for the Y. So if you go back to the game at this point, you should have everything on the screen. And the reason behind that is because the image that I use for my background is nothing more than a blank black PNG file. To do that, all we need to do is type pause bg.alpha equals 0.5, and now the image is transparent. The next thing we want to do is put all three of the pause things into a list so we can activate them all at once. So let's make a variable and call it a list. So list and then equals, and then we need to make an array. So inside this array, let's put pause bg, comma, then resume button, comma, and then pause overlay. Under that, let's do a for each. So let's do list dot for each, and then we need to put what we want it to be represented by. So I'm just going to put the letter L. So L dot set visible, and then false on the inside, and then L dot set active, and then false on the inside. So when you're looking at the word set visible, it's basically asking you, is this thing visible on the screen or not? And for set active, it's asking, is it active or not? You know, so we don't want this to be active, so we won't accidentally click on it. With this being done, now we can access all of those at one time. So now let's actually interact with the pause button. So let's do pause btn dot on, and then put the string pointer down, put a comma, and then a right function. And inside that, we need to do an if statement. So let's do if game is pause equals false, and then the game is pause equals true. Then on the next line, let's put pause btn dot set visible, and then let's put false. And then let's do pause btn dot set active, and then put false. So now when you click down on that button, it's going to hide the actual pause button, so we won't see it anymore. And then let's go up to where we got the word list.for each. Let's highlight that and copy and paste that right below the pause btn. And then instead of it saying l.set visible true and l.set active true, let's change those two trues to falses. So now it's saying let's show these things versus hiding them. So for the last step, all you need to do is highlight this actual pause button right here, then paste it below, and then instead of it saying pause button, let's change that to resume button. So where it says if game is pause equals false, let's swap that around and put true. After putting true, let's go to the next line and put false. So now it's trying to say if the opposite is happening of what's above happening, do this instead. So where it says pause button dot set visible and set active, let's change that to true as well. And then for the area where it says list.for each, let's change that back to false. At this point, if you were to go to the actual game, actual pause screens works now, but you can't really be too certain about that. So if you were to go down to the area where it says update, let's put that number in there. Let's put number plus equals 1. And then under that, let's do console.log number. What that's going to do is verify that it's actually still going in the background and not paused completely. Under that, let's put if game is pause equals false, bg.tile position x plus equals 2. So what that's going to do is actually move the background itself, so you can see that long as the game is not paused, it's going to keep on running. So there you have it. That's the very first way of getting the job done, but this could be done in the second way, you know, and this is the way that I've been using as of lately. I feel that this second option is a lot faster and the code is a lot less, but you have to have an additional scene. So if you were to go down to where you see my configurations at, you see that my scene says G, and pause. My whole entire game right here was considered as G. And then my second parameter was pause. That's the actual scene itself, which I never used. But it has to be in there. So where do you put this second scene? You also have to go into the index.html and put the pause scene before the game.js. If it's not there, it's going to throw an error and you're going to be very confused for a while. So let's go back over to the pause.js and put some stuff in it. It has to say pause equals new phaser dot scene and then the string pause. And then let's do pause.create equals function, and then that's all you really need to get this started on this page. And then to finish this, we really just need to copy and paste most of the code because we typed everything out already. So let's go back over to the where the game is located at, the game.js, whatever you guys called it, and then we need to delete some stuff. So let's go to the area where it says list. Let's highlight that and then delete it because we don't need it anymore. After that, let's go up to the area from where it says pause overlay all the way up to the area where it says resume button, and then let's copy that and then cut it. And then let's go back over to the pause.js and then paste that inside the create area. And now let's go back to our game page. Let's highlight that resume button, all of that, and then copy it and then go back over to the pause.js and paste that in there under the rest of that code. So now that we're in the actual pause area, I need you guys to go inside that resume button, delete all its contents, you know, the if else statement, and then replace it with this right here. Put pause.scene.resume and then the string G. So what that's going to do is actually return the game to its actual running state. And then on the next line, we need to type pause.scene.stop. And what that does is completely cut the scene off and remove it from being an action. So with this been done, the entire pause.js is complete. So now we need to remove the contents inside of the pause button on the actual game page. So that means I need you to highlight the area where it says the if else statement, just highlight it and delete it. And now you got a empty function. And the inside of that, we need to write a brand new scene management as well. So let's type g.scene.send_to_back and then put the string G. What send to back is basically takes this scene that we're having right here and put it below the other scenes and bring the other scene to the forefront. Now let's do g.scene.pause and then the string G. So now the game is actually paused. And then we need to launch the other scene to put it in front of this scene. So we do g.scene.launch and then put the string pause in the inside. So if you were to return to your game at this point, now you have an actual pause scene for your actual game. Or whatever application that you turn this into, because remember, this is JavaScript. It doesn't necessarily have to be a game itself. So there you have it. If you feel like you learned a lot from this video, leave me a thumbs up in the comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you around.